Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 horror thriller Ripper Untold, a film that is written and directed by Steve Lawson. Now this film is a low budget UK production that retells the Jack the Ripper tale. And it tells it from the perspective of a detective and a medical examiner. And it follows the case closely, following leads, dealing with the press, and trying to calm the citizens of London as this famed serial killer proceeds to cause fear and terror in the streets of London. Right, what are my thoughts on Ripper Untold? Well, unfortunately, they're not particularly positive. Now, there are aspects of this film that I thought were actually okay. Number one is the performances here. For a low budget film, they've managed to put in place here some actors that are very competent in delivering their lines to the point where it's fairly engaging for the viewer. But that, for me, is where the majority of the positives end. For a film that is kind of telling the story of Jack the Ripper, if you like, it's done from a very, very dull perspective of, like I said, this detective and a medical examiner. And it plays hard and loose with the facts as well. And it's not particularly difficult to figure out who the culprit is if you've got, a little bit of grey matter going on in there. Even though the film tries very hard to throw you a couple of red herrings here and there. From my perspective, when films certainly are dealing with what is, granted a long time ago, a real life case of a serial killer, I think they need to do it with a little bit more care. By that, I just feel like the victims are secondary here. It's told solely really from the perspective of this detective and this medical examiner, and it's not engaging enough. It's not scary in any way really, this film. It doesn't, because like I say, you don't really see anything of the killer here in this film. Now, to me, if you're making a film about Jack the Ripper, it's a critical error to not feature Jack the Ripper, and it doesn't do it effectively at all. It's basically a case of, someone will run into the police station and say another body's been found, sort of thing, and then they'll get to it, have a chin wag around the body. This little scumbag from the local newspaper will turn up, and then the body will end up back at the medical examiners and they'll take it from there. You very rarely see any build-ups or tension towards the murders, and like I say, the victims, unfortunately, are secondary here, even though you do see one or two of the victims before the murder takes place. But you are not given the opportunity to get to know these victims, and to feel their deaths or their murders in any real way. And for me, Jack the Ripper films are more effective when they do that. And a prime example is the From Hell one, the Johnny Depp one. Now, I know that's got its critics, but one thing that film did get right is that it did it really well from the victims' perspectives, and you got to know them pretty well from that film. And the only people you really get to know here, like I say, are, and I repeat it again, the lead detective and the medical examiner. And it's just kind of rinse and repeat throughout this film. And it's just dull. There's just no getting around it, really. I think for a Jack the Ripper film, they've dropped the ball massively here. And I can understand sometimes when they're making a film that has been, with a story that has been told a lot on screen, whether it be on TV or the big screen. I do respect that they've tried to come at it from a different angle, but I think they pretty much missed the mark pretty badly here. But yeah, the positives are the performances are decent for this film, for a low budget film. The production values are decent in a sense of, you know, it feels reasonably authentic with the set design and the costumes that they're wearing, the clothing and things like that. You know, it does a fairly decent job of setting the scene of, you know, the time period that these killings were taking place in. But purists, if you like, who know the history of Jack the Ripper will probably be pretty appalled with the way it deals with the facts in regards to it's very hard and loose in regards to the facts here, and it plays around with the story and the victims and all this kind of stuff. So I think really for a Jack the Ripper film, it gets an awful lot wrong here. So I can only give this one a 4.5 out of 10, and the majority of that is really on the decent performances and the production design and costumes. Really, the telling of the story fails, I think, on most levels. So that is my review for Ripper Untold. I hope you liked it. I hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.